This is IBM Museum, and we have another unboxing. Let me get turned around. I think in this instance, I'm going to go through and I'm going to shut off this webcam in the foreground, just so I'm aware that I've got the full screen to kind of show items here. And I do apologize a little bit. I opened the sides at home, and then I didn't open the center seam. I thought, well, let's do an unboxing of this because I quickly figured out what it was. But then I had a little bit of doubt, and I thought, well, this seller, and as you can see, eBay, and very good friend as it is, actually. He's my go-to guy when I'm looking at parts. He goes through and I know he packs very well. He goes through and he'll often double box. And so I thought, well, I can go through and I can open the outer box and I still have an inner box to work with the item that I ordered. And I didn't think it through in a way because we had communicated. I had gone through and I'd selected an item that was a circuit board. We'll see that in a moment. And he contacted me and he says, well, I'm sending you one that's new in box. So at least you get to see, this is the box within the box. And at least you get to see, I mean, his packing was just great. I went through and unwrapped all the bubble wrap, but he had effectively that box within the box and had it packed up very well. We're going to clear that out of the way just so we have the full field of view for this, and I'll bring it up close and everything else. I should otherwise go through, and I could have put the adapters out of the way, but those will come up at an appropriate point too. And this, you know, except for the color scheme, this looks very much like IBM packaging a lot of the time. And I realize there's other manufacturers that went through and did that as well. But I mean, it's a little bit different seeing the pink instead of, and they have it actually roll around, you know, corners and edges and things like that. In this case, in the packaging, it's a little bit different seeing that pink rather than a blue for IBM. And the product identified very well, 3279 Grapics. And I don't know why they have Terminal Emulation there together without necessarily any space. It looks like it's justified on the product name up above a little bit. And that's marked as a TM. I had to make sure I got my football gloves on here so I don't go through and jumble things around. It's going to say just like IBM products, we'd see a barcode, USA version, not suitable for non-USA use. And we may have to figure that out a little bit more. Going through, and this is a product from the way that the company was named of DCA. We saw, you know, Digital Communications Associates Incorporated, and we saw that flip adapter in a prior video. It was both microchannel and the 8-bit adapter. You just went through and you worked with the bracket, worked with the module that was off the end for the connections, and to go through and to figure out, you know, or to set whichever machine that you're going to put that in. And as we'll see with this adapter and a few others that we have that are for the microchannel platform, this is kind of a similar sort of thing that the adapters appear very, very close in appearance to one another. and it's in Georgia for all their mailing address. I have some information later on the aspects of DCA, and as they went through the company going through and buying out other companies and then getting bought out themselves. And that'll be at a later point that I can kind of cover a little bit more of that history, or maybe I can cover it in the comments or a video description, just to give a brief overview of that. And it talks about the IRMA and IRMA 3279 graphics are registered trademarks of Digital Communications Associates. IBM is a registered trademark of International Business Machines Corporation. DCA is a registered trademark of Digital Communications Associates Incorporated, specifications subject to change without notice. And we have a copyright date there of 1986. Digital Communications Associates Incorporated, made in USA, just to give a little bit of indication there. We see a lot of the same identifiers. It actually has that, again, for the USA only version, printed on this side. And it lists the contents here. Contents: printed circuit board, 1 plastic card guide, 3 keyboard templates, graphics software, file transfer software. Upgrade does not include file transfer software, video cable, and user's guide. And that is pretty much all to see of the exterior box. Let's get these other adapters off to the side just for the moment. And going through, and it's styrofoam on the inside here. We've got probably looks, and just to show let's put those aside, fallen to the ground, just to show kind of the composition of this. Apparently the wider being just a little bit rougher of styrofoam, and then the this side being rather smooth. I'm taking this as more effectively being the top, so to speak, of the packaging, and we don't see any of those recycling symbols on this styrofoam. Almost shows where they injected the styrofoam, maybe, for that. I don't know. That's kind of what it seems. So going through, taking the top cover off, let's kind of figure out, yeah, that looks like a good orientation. And we have a packet of, looks like at least 2 diskettes there. And again, the part number down here, and it's marked as 80-32790-0011. And we have the important: read this notice before opening this package. Software programs contained herein are licensed under the terms set forth in the accompanying DCA license agreement. These programs are licensed, not sold. By opening this package, you agree to be bound by the terms and conditions of the license agreement. You should read such agreement before opening the package. If you do not wish to use the program according to the terms of the license, do not open the package and return the package unopened to your distributor for a refund. If you have any questions, consult your distributor or Digital Communications Associates Product Marketing. And that has that apparently like a product number or something else, or a notification number. And there is the license agreement. I don't think people necessarily want me to read all of that in the video, but maybe just some highlights here. Refund. If you do not agree to the terms and conditions of this license agreement, return the unopened package and other components of this product with your receipt to the place of purchase, and your money will be refunded. I don't think this eBay seller is taking this back from me. He does offer a lot of a warranty, effectively, for the what he sells. He's interested in having customers that are able to use those devices that they buy from him. But I'm not turning this back in. License. You have a non-exclusive right to use the enclosed programs. These programs may only be used on a single computer in conjunction with products belonging to the IRMA family of products produced by Digital Communications Associated Incorporated, and in quotes, DCA. You may physically transfer the disk containing the programs from one computer to another, provided that the programs are used only on one computer at a time. You may not electronically transfer the programs from one computer to another over a network. I think I'm going to be doing SneakerNet with that. I'm not going through and transferring them over a network. So, and that's, I mean, and you could look at that as being open-ended. I have modern systems that I could go through and archive the diskettes and things like that. But it's kind of interesting for that aspect that I could move the files around like that in a way, but I would be in violation of this license agreement. You may not use, copy, modify, or transfer the programs or documentation or any copy except expressly provided in this agreement. And it's saying you may not modify, translate, decompile, disassemble, or reverse engineer the programs. They have a title, a backup and transfer. You may make one copy, and they have in parentheses one. The copy of the programs for backup purposes. You must reproduce and include the copyright notice on the backup copy. You may transfer this license and the programs to another party if the other party agrees to the terms and conditions of this agreement. If you transfer the programs, you must at the same time transfer the related documentation and backup copy. Copyright. The programs and related documentation are copyrighted. You may not copy the programs related documentation except as expressly provided in this agreement. If any other copies of the programs or related documentation are in violation of this agreement. Any other copies of the programs or related documentation. Proprietary, trade secret, and confidentiality information. The programs may contain proprietary, trade secret, and or confidentiality information. This information is provided to you in confidence, and you agree to maintain and protect the secrecy of this information. And then have a limited warranty hardware. DCA warrants the hardware components of this product against defects in materials and workmanship under normal, proper, and intended use in its unmodified condition for 1 year from the date of original purchase. And I am not the original purchaser. This warranty does not cover normal wear and tear or damage caused by accidents, negligence, vandalism, alteration, abuse, misuse, improper installation, environmental distress, or acts of God. PRAMs, DCA warranty PRAMs will perform substantially in accordance with the related documentation provided with the products for 1 year from the date of original purchase of the hardware components of this product. Disk DCA warrants the disk on which the programs are recorded to be free of defects in material and workmanship under normal, proper, and intended use for 90 days from the date of original purchase. They're clearly expecting the time frame of just 90 days for the diskettes. The above warranties are the only warranties of any kind, either express or implied, including to not limited to the implied warranties of merchantability and fitness for a particular purpose that DCA makes regarding this product or any component thereof. This limited warranty gives you specific legal rights. You may have other legal rights which vary from state to state. And then they have remedies and limitations of damages, the duration. This agreement is effective from the day that you open this disk packet and will continue for 50 years or until you return to DCA the original disk and any backup copies, whichever comes first. If you breach this agreement, DCA can terminate this license upon notifying you in writing. You will also be required to return the original disk, copies of the original disk, and related documentation. DCA may enforce other legal rights of law and in equity. And if you have any questions concerning this agreement, please contact In Writing Digital Communications and that address that's on the box again. So 50 years from me opening up this packet, and it, it's, so we're going to go forward even from 1986 when this was apparently done. We're going to open up this packet to look through on it, and the seller of this this package does have other new in box. So if you want to come buy one yourself of the same packaging and be bound by that same 50-year agreement, going through being this being November the 22nd of 2021. So that goes up to 2071 to be bound by that agreement. Even the end of that, I mean, getting close to 2072 that agreement would be in effect for you, if you want to order one of those. Just leave a comment on the video, and I can go through and from there provide information to that. They include a little and I don't know if that's straight through 9-pin to 9-pin. We can probably find out in the manual for that. And then that adapter guide that they typically put in the computers, the PCXD and AT models, and even the clones, of course, had a place you attach those adapter card guide brackets. And pull this out, and it'll be actually kind of good because I won't have to detach this. The first thing that's on there fully, but the first thing you'll notice is that's two full-size boards with that bridge at the top of them. And we see this side with the coax, there's DB9s, and it's actually where the DB9s are attached to this face, this PCB, and the coax port and things like that are attached to this other adapter. And we get to see, and we'll learn from the manuals, those jumper conditions. And we see this assembly. Now, I had one of these adapters already. And just probably from the same way another parts bin, the chips look pretty good. There's on a couple of the high point chips like that one, that big one. And who knows what, a package like that ultimately is. That's almost effectively a pretty unique item out there. The DCA adapters, I can always tell with that little heat sink around that, effectively that transistor or whatever that device is. But I had this adapter, and the one thing that I noticed right away to this was the fact of this. This is normally the component side, and we saw on the older, the other DCA, that flip adapter, we saw, of course, they put the components on one side of that, and between the microchannel and the 8-bit connector, there's got to be, one side that effectively has components, and that looks a little bit weird because that's a flip adapter and how it could be in the adapter slot. If you want to go through and review that video, after this one, to kind of see how they arranged that particular adapter, and that so-called, what I'm calling a flip adapter, came later on from this. I mean, that was, I'm trying to remember from the day of the video we were seeing, I think 1990, 1991 dates on there. And of course, the microchannel PS2s came out in 1987 as it was. So this, the 1986 copyright date precedes that, and other areas. But it just, that this being kind of almost like a reverse mount for how the adapter would be in the particular slot. It'd actually be in the 8-bit connector, one adapter over from where the bracket was placed. And I, thought, hey, that's a real weird configuration. Normally they have the components on this side. And for the components here, I mean, it has all the functionality of being a 3270 adapter. And of course, I went through and noticed that this big header, and that looks to be 60 pins because it's marking that in an A and B row for 1 through 30 for each of the A and the B row. So 60 pins, and having that graph interface marking under that P2 designation. And then this, I guess the FCC, that Class A thing that we saw with the IBM adapters, the microchannel adapters in big letters, that FCC Class A marking. So I guess 3270 world at that time, they were really worried about those things of Class A. It does have a revision spot there, but it doesn't seem to have any revision marking on it. And then, of course, on the back bracket, seeing those that you could remove, and that clearly indicates that another adapter, another PCB was nestled in to here on the board. And so I got looking around and was pointed to where there was a board available with the daughter card, as we see here. And this has a revision marking, same thing, that silver sticker, and it's unmarked with any revision markings, but does have those two boards affixed to each other with that bridge in the middle. And we get to go through and with the examination of, and this being called the Forte graph. And Forte actually was a company, we'll get into a little bit of that with the DCA history. Forte was a company that was ultimately bought up and became DCA. And it's very, I mean, with it identified as the graph interface, we look and we start to see some conventional, relatively conventional chips for that time of the 6845. And there's other, numbers and designations in there, but that Hitachi chip in this instance, and typically the Motorola 6845 was known as a video controller for monochrome and CGA on the IBM PC and XT, starting out that PC line from IBM. Of course, they had for the monochrome and the color monitors they had of that timing. The 6845, originally from Motorola, was the most heavily used video chip of that time frame, since it easily provided the video signals that IBM wanted to use at that time, and which were digital in nature. We'll have to go through and kind of see there is effectively what's probably a video RAM to that effect. This, I mean, it is soldered in place, but would be likely like video BIOS extension, just a ROM extension to be able to run. And the only and there's probably the 8-bit data bus. It's in there as much as it effectively needs it, but it has all the different oscillators, and it one of each type of DB9 connector there, and then they've got that lead there as well. And to figure out a little bit of the video out of those ports, what it has to what monitors, if this was a proprietary monitor or whether it was something that was a little bit easier than that. The manuals will tell us that. Now, I assume that the board would kind of go straight across transfer, because I also had these two microchannel adapters, and it's the same board between them. We do see a little bit of difference right off, mostly in the fact I don't see really any much component variations, although we do see some change in components. Capacitor with the lead there. We have but in this one it goes through and there's this diode that's in there. So just looking over one at a time, we have what appear to be a lot of the same effective chips as the 8-bit adapter, just in different positioning. And and again, the adapter is very much like that 8-bit, where it's just nothing on what we'd normally expect the component side. And should probably go through and do the other one first, even though all the components are all the same. Otherwise, there's a couple slight variations. We see that, and we see that red aluminum heatsink again. That's kind of shows it's a DCA board, and the DCA marking up there, of course. We don't see, even with the board reversed like that, we don't see any 9-pin connectors coming out of that. But there is the header, and it's also marked as a P2-1 is ultimately what the marking is on this side. And I don't see if that's... And that's maybe 50 pins is what it appears to be. They're not numbered in the same way. But since I had just and I probably should have looked closer and counted pins and looked at orientation too, because the 60-pin header, of course, from the adapter like that. It's parallel ultimately, so that interconnect board could go through and bridge the gap across the adapters at the top. And this and these microchannel adapters, being that they are straight out perpendicular to the adapter, that there had to be some other thing. Maybe there was a ribbon cable or something else. Didn't have quite the same number of pins, and I should have picked that out, because I was kind of assuming the daughter card would be a little bit more universal between them. And the reason that I got really started in this all, in kind of understanding that would be a video connection besides the markings, that that graph interface. And I guess for the one board, it's not marked as graph interface, and the others it is. And so this is a revision B adapter. Okay. And as I say, the components and everything else to the board, chips and everything else, seem to be the same, although that can get documented later with pictures. The other adapter I have, oh, interesting. So the vendor QA, or quality assurance, spot is moved. The silk screen unit has changed, and there's just minor components from there that have changed. And then I saw, what else did I see just a moment ago? I think I was just mainly looking at, well, there is some chip changes here. To this one, although everything of the major chips, well, they do change a little bit in position. Some of the major chips do change a little bit in position. But this is the revision D. That sticker is really kind of shiny, but you can see on there when it's not reflecting the ring light around that is revision D. And the thing that really stood out, or, you know, when I took a second look, I backed off from the adapter a little bit and kind of looked, because it has the AVE extension, that auxiliary video extension connector for the microchannel 16-bit bus, right behind the 16-bit, you know, 8 and 16-bit portion of the bus. And that ties into the video of your host system, just meaning an adapter that went through and had to interact with the video controller that was, you know, on the planar or on another base video adapter that would be on the system, and linking back video for some reason that I knew that this would be without seeing any other video chips otherwise, just seeing the 3270 functionality, that this daughter card would effectively be for some sort of video interface. And so the thought is, and even seeing the adapter like that, particularly this Ford PCB edge, and in some cases you can even see a little bit of angle that they saw when these full-sized adapters going into a system, that you had to angle them in. As it is, you had to go through and work them into that front side of the bus, and that's a very that plastic on the front, man, that's tight. I guess it really held the adapter in a tight position. Being at the age of this might even be rather brittle at this age, but they really closed in the tolerance for the PCB in that instance to be pretty tight. Normally, a lot of those card guides, they had a little bit better gap for the PCB, that these weren't really necessarily as spring-loaded as they would be in that occasion. But this kind of reminded me, with those tabs, of the 3270 PC. There's some boards in there for the video in particular, that even for the regular video, there's two adapters that are in the system for the video, and then you even have a third adapter that's also has these same types of bridges, and they have multiple smaller ones along this top edge in that arrangement, that an all points addressable board, you know, that can be coupled. So you have three of these full length boards that are coupled together in the 3270 PC, just for the video side, not anything to do with the 3270 link of that coax connector and the adapter. I do have 3270 PCs, and I do have the adapters that I can show at a later point to show kind of that bridge and that arrangement. But it was very much reminding me of that with this adapter, kind of seeing how they had the bridge boards and things like that up there. So that's how I came to the point of wanting to pick one up and to see what a little bit more of the specifics were for it. The manual, and I'll enter the 50-year obligation that I have now by breaking the seal. DCA is laid out to me, whatever form the company exists, or whether it exists now, that they can have lawyers pursue me 50 years from the point of this video. Who knows what kind of world it'll be then. And I'll be a little bit over not revealing anything, but I mean, I'll be over 100 years old at that point too, by the time that this, effectively that this license would end. Now I do need to go through, and I probably want to, I do have other IRMA sorts of things, but I want to go through and to image those strictly for my backup copies, you understand. And not that I would try and go through and reverse engineer or try and determine the programs on there. And it's version 2.20, in case anybody's interested. And it's got a 64-32790-000. Oh, okay. Version 2.20 for this IRMA link, FT/TSO, and FT/CMS diskette. This 3279 graphics is version 1.19, just to give a view of those. Now, the irony to me, a lot of time in this software, they have these companies have the license agreements and everything else, and I can understand these are products back in the time they didn't want the diskette shared around. But really, for my use, the only time I'm going to use these programs, I'm going to have an adapter. And even if I picked up an adapter years ago of going through and using it, it's still a product that was sold by their company or licensed by their company back in the day before it came into my hands. So, I mean, it's pretty much, it goes without saying that I'm only going to be using their products with the software. I'm not going to have there's not going to be any ability to use this software with an adapter made by any other board or competition or something where they didn't get paid some licensing for that time. And, I'd really, it might be a great little comment area to say something about that. Leave a comment. Let's talk about the license agreements then and now. Now it appears that these diskettes, there's two of the diskettes. It appears that, one's associated with one manual and one with the other. And I think the other booklet, yeah, I kind of want to go through, let's go through in this order toward this 3279 graphics, going through and breaking the seal. And of course, I will check to see if these are scanned. It's not an IBM product, but it may have been scanned by someone else. And it's a good thing it's got holes in there, so I can't hold this up to my mouth and suffocate myself or something. But this, I think there was companies that learned packaging from DCA, because our current products are out there that are using very similar packaging styles as what is in place here. The other plastic, who knows if they went through and got these, had these produced in the same place. I'll go through and I'll use, that doesn't even help much. I'll use these microchannel back brackets, because these things will, you feel like they'll cut you. There's probably been some people that have been cut by them. I don't think I have, and maybe I'm speaking too soon, and I don't know what is to this. I certainly will cut myself if I kind of continue. But this plastic is a whole world that's different from that other manual. That other manual came, and I'm even, that just tore kind of on the, effectively on the seam of the plastic. This plastic on this manual is a lot different from the other one, and it just doesn't want, I don't want to pull the binding out for that, because then those wires could become distorted. You see, and that's still tearing it on the seam. That's not tearing it midpoint on that cellophane. That's just, wow. That's a whole nother level. And there's the user's guide of the adapter itself. That's wanted to look at this one first. And what is IRMA 3279 Graphics? IRMA 3279 Graphics is a hardware/software product that brings IBM 3279 S3G color graphics to your IBM personal computer, in parentheses PC, PCXT, or PCAT. IRMA 3279 Graphics provides all the functions, and all is italicized, not capitalized, but it's italicized. All the functions of the 3279 S3G terminal. And I'm not familiar with the 3279 S3G terminal from IBM as much as maybe I should be. I'm guessing with that, the G probably means a graphics format. And as I say, on the 3270 PC, there's that all points addressable board that can be added to the display adapter that's on that system. Plus extended functions that let you save, redisplay, and print host graphics from the PC without reconnecting to the host. You can even perform high-speed file transfers with the IRMA Link file transfer software included with this package. And that's probably the other manual and diskette. And it's got an asterisk. It says C note on next page for the that IRMA Link file transfer software included in this package. And the IRMA 3279 graphics hardware is completely compatible with IRMA's E78 emulator, so you can run a variety of software such as Tempest Link, TM, or trademark, Interactive PC Link, which is trademarked, Lotus 123, which is trademarked, and Microsoft Word, trademarked. And which of those products is still, out there today? Microsoft Word is the only one that I could think of. Lotus 123, even IBM owned that at one point. IRMA 3279 Graphics is available in two forms. IRMA 3279 Graphics is a complete emulation and graphics hardware assembly which fits into a single slot on the PC. The upgrade hardware assembly attaches to an IRMA installed in your PC, while both IRMA 3279 Graphics and the upgrade provide the same functions and features. The hardware and software cannot be mixed. The upgrade hardware assembly attaches to an IRMA installed in your PC. I'm not sure what they mean. They're talking about the adapter that they have. This 3279 Graphics is that double-decker board that's in the package. And we need, probably we'll need to get that shrink wrap, anti-static bagged and things like that. I do have those, especially being around the styrofoam and that cellophane. So the product features: IRMA 3279 graphics and the upgrade provide the following features: complete emulation of the IBM 3279 S3G graphics terminal with program symbols, extended capabilities for storage, printing, and redisplay of graphics offline from the host, complete compatibility with E78 versions 1.42 and greater, that being their prior product, hotkey switching from DOS to emulation, emulation of 3279 keyboards. We'll look at the keyboard templates here in a moment, and light pen support. And that has the asterisk on it. I don't know if that's the C note on next page, linking there. Support for all extended color, highlighting, and EBCDIC, APL, scientific notation, and foreign language fonts. Compatible with IRMA FT/3270 file transfer, software versions 1.27 and greater. And didn't I say a moment ago that that was version 1.1? Oh, no, excuse me. That's the 2.20. I was worried that saying it in the same package, and I was wondering if it'd be covered. I was thinking that was at 1.19. AT&T 6300 compatible. And I mean, the 6300 was a system back in the day that there was compatibility issues between them. Apparently that adapter is compatible with both. High-speed file transfer with IRMA FT/TSO and FTCMS included in this package. See note. And then the note, the IRMA file transfer software and documentation are included as part of the IRMA package. Therefore, these items are not included in the IRMA 3279's graphics upgrade package. If you need a copy of the IRMA software documentation, contact DCA customer support in Georgia. They've got even the phone number. And outside Georgia, they've got a toll-free number. It'd be interesting to see if those numbers are still active too. IRMA 3279 graphics and the upgrade provided support through E78 for applications requiring the IBM selector pen. Oh, that's the note for the light pen. The IBM selector pen. For light pen support, the E78 emulator program must be used with the IBM color display adapter or EGA and a light pen that connects to the display adapter. The Graph emulator does not provide light pen support. They have the what to do first, checking the package contents, warranty validation. Now turn to the customer support section located at the end of this guide. Carefully read the warranty information. Complete the product registration card included with the package and return it to DCA. This card validates your IRMA graphics product warranty and provides a way to keep you informed of updates that occur, and providing my address and everything else, of course, to DCA so they can utilize it in the next 50 years to hold me accountable to that agreement. There's the product registration card. Goes through the mail and doesn't, of course, it's a postcard sized and probably not a postcard rate anymore with the U.S. Postal System. Even has an entry for country. You put your telephone number down, and everybody in the mail system, of course, sees that what you've put on that side of that postcard effectively. So yeah, I'm not going to be doing that. And guide contents, organization. And then they talk about the different chapters here. And this manual will be scanned all in due form. I want to go through and I want to see if they go through and system requirements, which is what I want to read. And I want to look at the jumper settings. And that's something I'm not doing myself, but I mean, it's, I don't think I'm doing that myself. But, you know, it's got pretty good new condition manual. Point out that very tough cellophane wrap. Installation setup. Hardware installation saying the J1 jumper. Base address jumpers. System requirements. 128 kilobytes random access memory. At least one floppy disk drive of 320 kilobytes capacity, which is kind of the older format before the 360 KB. IBM PC-DOS versions 2.1, 3.1, or 3.2. Graphics hardware, color graphics adapter CGA, or enhanced graphics adapter EGA. Color monitor, high resolution, long persistence, phosphor monitor, capable of 2:1 interlace. That interlace video that was coming. The following monitors are supported: Micro VTech 14L86DD2U, IBM 5154 enhanced color, JVC GD-H101 4LP, Electro Home ECM-1301, Aiden Controls 8810 LP, Amdec Color 710, IBM 5153, PGS HX-12 LP, Zenith ZVM 136, AT&T 6300. So I maybe recognize about three, maybe four of those monitors listed. Printers optional. Following color graphics printers are supported: Quadram Quadjet, the Tandy CGP-22220, Canon PJ 1080A, Advanced Color Technology Act 2, the IBM 5182, that was a so-called color printer from IBM, I think, for that 5182. I had that. I've got that tucked away somewhere. IBM 3852 and Toshiba P351C. So they show a nice little diagram of the jumper settings, the base address jumpers. How to remove the case cover from your PC. I'm just looking at how we're doing on time, and we're getting close to an hour video. I don't know if I intended it to be that long, but going through and putting the adapter in, pretty detailed drawings for all that. And that's kind of what I thought with that cable. And that's good to show for the how that's interlinked with A short video cable supplied with your IRMA graphics package. Connect the female end of this cable to the male socket in the center of the emulator board. And then step 19 is to connect the male end of the video cable to the female socket on the color graphics or EGA card. So you had this CGA board or an EGA board in the computers is kind of what it sounds like they're doing there. And of course, probably a lot more capability with the EGA board. And then I would guess that that top connector of the board would be for the video out. You have that short little link, the cable between the this port and your display adapter, and then that's the new display adapter connection out of the PC. Okay. And of course, on the microchannel board, even with the effective daughter card, and I gotta look now and see if I can find what the true. I was assuming it was kind of the same. I didn't look at the orientation of the pins. Since it has that auxiliary video extension, that it doesn't need a link basically to that's the link to the graphics subsystem that cable provides otherwise on the 8-bit adapter. So, and they're just showing the connections in there. Then they go through the software configuration. And configuring things, apparently setting up for the printers and things like that. And we can look at, once I scan the manual and have it available to people, it'll be easier to kind of see of how the screen appearance and all the things that the manual describes. I was hoping to go through a little bit those symbols that appear on the screen, a little bit of this link param. We got this yellow, wow, high contrast yellow of the manual that was easier to get the cellophane off. And this is the link with the and I think that this looks like with the diskette and this separate, this may have been available, outside the package as well. Kind of an add-on. And this even has a nice little, they've got a little bit of color to it. Looks like a little bit higher production value manual. But that's the link program there, and I'll certainly scan that functionality in due time as well. I'll get the manual online to show what the contents are of that. Wow, and another, it's got a card in the front and the back. Or did I, oh yeah, card in the front and the back. Probably the same. The last thing I wanted to kind of show, don't want to cover up that new adapter, but then there's also these keyboard templates. And these actually look like they've been they're a little bit, they have a little bit of dirt and stuff like that on them. But this was a new package ultimately. I mean, the package is open. But we saw that it opened up the manual and the software pack and everything else and obligated myself for 50 years. But here's just the keyboard templates that set on their keyboard and told you what the key combinations would do. Okay, and that's APL typewriter keyboard with APL mode off. And attribute select typewriter keyboard. And there's APL mode on. And certainly I'll go through and I'll scan. I'll scan these as well. So I've been talking for an hour. That's why I'm coughing. A little bit of dry of throat. But I hope that was enjoyable content to see that unboxing and get a view of the things to that package. And I'll go through a little bit deeper and scan that stuff and image the diskette for my own purposes as a backup copy, to get that set aside, and we can look into that. And hopefully I can I discovered a little bit more in a way of that microchannel interface, that graph adapter, but it looks like it uses a separate daughter card, especially for that other video board, having that 6845 chip on it. I mean, a PS2, the microchannel interface, you have better video on that system anyway, than a 6845 could normally supply. You wouldn't necessarily have a monitor that you could have connected that way. The microchannel board doesn't have the for those DB9 to any of the older screens or anything like that. So that's something else out there that I'll just have to figure out. And I don't know where I got the two microchannel adapters for all that, or even that other 8-bit adapter without that graphics board attached to it. I just don't have any idea over the years of where I picked this up and whether I picked them up together in a sense or not. At one point in time, that stuff was coming through as just surplus, as cheap, and I was just going through and mopping up. If the price is low enough and to get it to me, just mopping up that stuff and setting it aside, and not really looking at too much details like I started to with that, going over my 3270 stuff again to say, why does this adapter have an auxiliary video extension on this microchannel board? So it's certainly been long enough, but if you enjoyed this content, I'll try and get timestamps into it so it is a little bit more usable, maybe pausable, to be able to return to the video or return to key up to different sections. I'll try and get that in at some point. But if you enjoyed the video, go ahead and click on that like button, and by all means subscribe to my channel if you have not done so already. Encourage your friends to subscribe as well so I can get more subscribers. And I'm got my eye on the prize, looking for that 1,000 subscriber level, 1,000 subscribers. Hopefully not too far off, and just a little bit over 100 subscribers below that now. So I'm kind of looking to that and find out what that's going to effectively mean to the channel, and what I might do as a reaction to have some specials or even some prizes coming up for that. But this is IBM Museum. That's all I have for now. Thank you.